What's up, world? Jeff Lerner here. Had a little hiccup on Instagram. What's up, world? Jeff Lerner here. How goes it? Excited to be with you yet again for our daily conversation. Man, what are we talking about today? I promised that I would talk a little bit about Instagram's new features. And then, of course, we're going to get into some goodness about how to get out of our own way. I think I just saw the birthday girl pop on, I think. Anyway, a lot of people coming on. Good to see everyone. What's up, Miko? What's up, Hollins? That's right. Hey, Meg. What's up? Good days and losing your mind. Sweet name. Whack Mexican dude. Another sweet name. So many cool names on Instagram. The names on Facebook and YouTube are so much more prosaic. It's names like Jeff and Juan. Anyway, somebody asked what time it is where I live. It's almost 5 o'clock Mountain Time right now. Carol, hey, nice to see you. Valerie, what's going on? Anyway, lots of good people coming on. Sorry, let me close my messaging over here. That's not what I need to be looking at. All right. So, today I wanted to tell you my sort of daily marketing related update and commentary, which is if you haven't checked out this new Instagram Reels feature, I want to encourage you to check it out. Really doesn't matter so much what business you're in. I mean, look, if you're social and you just want to be popular and make content that gets lots of views, I totally support that too. Although I would suggest that, sorry, people are asking questions. Yeah, my training program is mostly videos. Yes, we have found that people much prefer to watch videos in the world today rather than read. There's some written material that supports the videos, but yeah, it's largely videos. The main course, which is called the ENTRE Blueprint, it's probably 8 or 10 hours of content to go through. And then there's some other courses we have, and we have a lot of courses, but that's kind of the one where most people start. Anyway, and actually, I appreciate you asking that, because if there's anything I should do more on these lives, it's make more offers. I should say, I'm going to go smoke, laugh my ass off. This is boring. Be right back. Don't come back. We're good. Enjoy, though. What's up? Yes, appreciate you being here. Yeah, so my course, ENTRE Blueprint, since somebody asked me about it, I will tell you that we teach you how to have an awesome life. That's basically what the course is about. Clearly, if you want to have an awesome life, probably would help to have a good amount of money and also be able to get your money in a way that doesn't require you to trade your whole life away and give up all your time. So, yeah, you're reading Tim Sykes. That's awesome. I like Tim. I had a great interview with Tim a couple months ago. Anyway, so yeah, ENTRE Blueprint, we teach you kind of how all the businesses work now in the modern economy, how you can leverage the internet and create these businesses online that can change the quality of your life dramatically. What's up, Gavin? Appreciate you being here, man. But we also talk about how to use that framework of efficiency and leverage and all the advantages that the internet gives you and apply it to other areas of your life as well. Because the reality is every single human on earth can have a more amazing life than the one they have, myself included. It's actually really fun to constantly be working at leveling up and getting better and better and better and better. I actually don't see what the point is. So many people seem to have a life where they want their number one goal in life seems to be to stay the same. It's like they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to take a risk. They don't want to be challenged. They want to keep it the same. I actually think the same sounds miserable. Why would you want to live even a day of maintaining sameness in your life when by definition, every single human being on earth could be getting better? The quality of life could be going up. The quality of their knowledge could be going up. The quality of their thoughts could be going up. The quality of their emotions could be going up. The quality of their beliefs could be going up. The idea of staying the same for even an hour sounds boring to me. For a day, sounds miserable. For a year, sounds like hell on earth. And yet so many people seem really preoccupied with keeping things the same in their life. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, so Entre Blueprint is for, in fact, this is interesting. I'll share this with you. We've recently gotten clear on who my training is for, and all the training that my company Entre Institute puts out. Who is it for? It is for a unique class of people that are actually an overlap of 3 different groups of people. It is for the dreamers, people that are still giving themselves permission to dream, and where that cluster overlaps with people that love to learn. And then in the middle of that overlap, you have the dreamers, you have the learners, and out of those people, there's a group of people that also really, really like to do hard work. Not only is that who my training is for, dreamers who love to learn, who also like to do hard work, it's actually the people that are going to get to have an awesome life in this world. The world, I don't know if it's fair or not. I actually don't even think fair is really a valid concept in the world. I don't know if it's right or not, but I know it's true, is that if you want to have an awesome life in this world, you have to be able to dream. And usually people's dreams aren't big enough dreams. In fact, I'll tell you a little story about that. You have to be able to dream, and you have to love to learn and constantly want to grow and change and adapt. That's the whole thing about staying the same is super lame. That's the last thing you want to do is stay the same. You have to be willing to dream. You have to want to grow and learn. And you have to be willing to work your butt off. And the reality is, I personally believe if you're not all 3 of those, you honestly don't deserve an awesome life. Because here's the thing, an awesome life is really special. Look at the all of human history, right? There's the haves and the have-nots. There's the healthy and the sick. There's the rich and the poor. There's the good and the evil. There's a dichotomy. There's a spectrum. There's a spread. We're never going to have a world where everyone's the same. And quality of life is going to reflect that. There's going to be people with amazing quality of life. There's going to be people with so-so quality of life. There's going to be people with crap quality of life, right? Ain't nothing going to change it. You want that to change? Die, go to heaven. If what they say is true, you'll finally be in a place where everyone has it good, right? But on this earth, some are going to have it good and some are going to have it bad. That's just the facts. So why do you deserve to be one of the people that has it good? Why do I deserve to be one of the people that has it good? Nobody deserves that, right? Except, and by the way, that word deserve, it's an interesting word. Look it up. It actually means the place that you serve from. People think they deserve something. I say, well, what place are you serving from? They look at me like, I don't know what you mean. I say, clearly, you don't know what the word deserve means, right? Deserve is a reflection of the place that you are serving from. Not reaching out for, not trying to pull to, but to give and serve from. That's what you deserve, right? But why should anybody deserve an awesome life? I would argue that if you're one of the unique people in this world that's able to hold a dream and you've maintained the ability to dream ever since you were a kid, you never let it go, you never let them beat it out of you, and you love to learn, and you love to work hard, then and only then do you actually deserve that awesome life. Man, my comments got frozen up, my thread. Anyway, I'm 41 years old. Thanks for asking. So actually, and this is, by the way, completely off course from where I was going with this conversation, but now that I'm in my head and I'm musing my musings and I'm thinking my thoughts, I'm going to say what I'm thinking. Why is it that someone, in order to deserve that awesome, awesome life that they are capable of having, why is it that they should have to be a dreamer who's also a learner, who's also a hard worker? Deserve is a strong word. So if somebody, think about the inverse of that, if somebody comes to me and they're like, man, I love to learn and I work really, really hard. And I say, but do you dream? And they say, no, but I learn and I work hard. And I say, nope, you don't deserve an awesome life. Like, that's pretty extreme, right? What about the person who dreams and loves to learn? Those people, they spend their life in academia. They never graduate from school because they never want to actually enter the workforce and do any work, right? They live off student loans till they die. You don't deserve an awesome life. And what about the person who's just like, yo, I work so hard, man. I work. I work, till my fingers to the bone. And I'm like, but do you dream? And they're like, oh yeah, I dream too. I dream and I work. I have big ideas for my life and I work really hard to make them happen. Let me decline that call. And I say, so you dream and you work hard. Do you learn? And they go, well, no, I don't have time. I work too much. And I say, oh, sorry, you don't deserve an awesome life. That's pretty harsh, Jeff. Why should somebody have to dream and learn and work hard and not just learn, love learning to have an awesome life. I would argue because those three things are all required at an individual and at a macro level for progress. Remove human beings' ability to dream, our world gets really shitty really fast. And there's a lot of learning going on. Everybody's learning and learning what each other knows and studying. There's no new information being created because dreams are always, the drive to create new information is always going to be an outgrowth of a belief that things could be different than they are. Why would you create new information if there was no possibility of things being different than they are? Because the way things are is a reflection of the current state of information. So you're not going to go get new information unless you believe that things could be different. That's called dreaming, right? No new information gets created, therefore no progress without dreams. So you have to have dreams if you want to be successful. What about the learning? Again, no progress without learning. In order to create new information, because we dream and we're willing to work hard, we also have to learn. We have to research. We have to research. Search and search again to research. That's driven by a love of learning on the basis of a dream, a belief that things could be different than they are, and a willingness to do the hard work, right? And then what about hard work? I probably don't have to tell you that there's no progress without hard work. There's no growth without hard work. You don't deserve growth if you don't work hard. But that's my argument for why you have to have all three. And really, let's be willing to take this and apply it to ourselves. Can you look yourself in the mirror and say, I am a dreamer. I am a dreamer. And I'm also a ridiculously hard worker. When other people give up, I keep going. And I love to learn. If you cannot say yes immediately and emphatically and truthfully to all three of those questions, the reality, my position is you do not deserve better than what you have. It's kind of harsh. Why am I being so harsh? Because we don't live in a utopia. We live in a world where there's a finite set of resources. There's a finite set of opportunity. There's a finite amount of food. There's a finite amount of air. There's a finite amount of knowledge. There's a finite amount of money. There's a finite amount of education. I should say there's a finite amount of value. There's not a finite amount of money. They'll keep printing more money, but they can't create more value. That's why money gets less and less valuable over time as they create more and more of it. You got to be one of the ones that deserve, or else you're one of the ones that don't. And my position is that if you are not a dreamer who does not also love to learn, and who's not always an extraordinarily hard worker, you do not deserve better than you have. Which means if you want better than you have, you shouldn't want what you don't deserve. You should want to deserve, which means if you want to deserve, you should be willing to go look yourself in the mirror and say, do I dream? And do I love to learn? And do I work hard? And does my life reflect that every single day? Which is to say, Instagram has a new feature called Reels. Non sequitur there. But no, they do. It's pretty cool. I've been actually researching it. And I think I'm going to start leaning into the Instagram Reels, which is essentially their way of competing with TikTok. And I think it's really, really valuable from a marketing perspective. I was reading about this doctor who sewed buttons onto his surgical mask. And so that he could, because he was the masks that he had to wear, the breathing masks for COVID, were like they were irritating the backs of his ears. So he sewed buttons onto his surgical mask, and then he could loop his COVID mask around the buttons instead of around his ears. Put it on an Instagram reel, got like 40,000 views in a day. Little things, man. These creative, little clever things can just unlock, Instagram Reels and TikTok. The reality is those are the only places now that you can very easily get a lot of organic traction, a lot of organic views. Everything else you got to fight pretty hard for. So if you have a business and you're wanting to leverage social media, here's what you do. And same strategy on TikTok and Instagram. But what you do is you put, let's say you want to grow from Instagram Reels taking over, but still not the same as TikTok. No, it's not the same as TikTok. Different demographic, different types of content that get traction. But the real value of it, so like I have a YouTube channel, for example. It's hard to organically grow a YouTube channel. This is why I'm actually looking at it. Because the thing is, I don't need Instagram Reels for lead generation. I have enough of a budget. I can just go run paid ads, right? Like we get lots of traffic from paid ads. I'm not waiting for Instagram to deliver me free traffic for my business. But what I very, very much want to do in my business is grow my YouTube channel. And the fastest way for me to grow because you can't go spend money to grow a YouTube channel. Like you go run paid ads for the sole purpose of getting views and engagement and subscriptions on YouTube. It is brutally expensive and totally not worth it. The fast way to grow a YouTube channel now is to put your YouTube link in the bio of your Instagram and put your YouTube link in the bio of your TikTok, and then go get really organic viral videos on TikTok and Instagram to drive traffic to your Instagram, to your YouTube channel, or drive traffic to your funnel, or drive traffic to your homepage, drive traffic to your offer, whatever. Anyway, that's the basic strategy. Instagram has some really, really good tutorials that basically explain. They did a much better job than TikTok of actually like explaining to people how to use their platform. So those are worth watching. Anyway, not what I want to talk about at length, but I did promise my content team that I would talk about Instagram Reels on this conversation. Here's what I really want to talk about, though. Now that I've been polarizing, and by the way, I just got off a training where I was talking about how you essentially have to be polarizing, or else nobody's even going to pay attention to the world we live in. Because I make these dramatic statements. I happen to believe them. I happen to agree with them. Things like no one's coming to save you. School is misleading you. Jobs are misleading you. The government's misleading you. The banks are misleading you. Everybody's very invested in your ignorance and your dependence, and that actually becoming a self-determined entrepreneur is has a higher probability of a much better outcome in life than going to school and getting a job. Like, that's a polarizing thing. Some people agree with me. Some people don't. That's fine. Yeah, things like COVID is kind of overblown. Like, put it out. The strategy for COVID is to let it impact your life as minimally as absolutely necessary to be compliant and, whatever, not be putting anybody at risk, not be putting yourself at risk. But honestly, like, stop talking about it. Stop paying attention to it. Stop watching the TV. Stop reading all the articles. It's going to change when it changes. It's going to go away when it goes away. You're not accelerating the creation of a vaccine, whatever your opinions are about the vaccine. The point is, it's all a giant waste of time. I grew my business 2,000% this year by ignoring COVID and focusing on the work. That's polarizing. Be polarizing, right? Here's another thing. Why is the average person so damn ineffective? Why is the average person so damn ineffective? I go back and forth from a place of true love and compassion and empathy and kindness to just outright frustration and like wanting to punch a hole in the wall. Why do I want it more for people than they seem to want it for themselves? Why am I willing to do work for, never mind what I do for myself, I'll extend it to doing for others what they won't even do for themselves. I would literally cut my calories to help somebody else lose weight if it would make a difference. I wouldn't even mind, because I'd be like, well, that's a hard thing. I love hard things. I eagerly do hard things well. Hard things are the driver of my life. Hard things are how I know I'm getting better. Parties are fun. You feel like shit the next day. Marathons are hard. You feel amazing the next day. Want to feel good? Do hard things, right? I'd do it for other people if it would move their life forward, but you can't want it for someone else. You can't do it for someone else. As an educator, as an entrepreneurial educator, somebody who attempts to both inform and inspire people to take control in their life, Andre said it, learned helplessness is rampant these days. Dependency breeds hostility. Prolonged dependency breeds depression. And we're all depressed because we're dependent. I say we're not all depressed. I mean, not everybody. I'm not depressed. I feel great because I'm not dependent. I got my own life well in hand. I pay my own bills. I make my own money. I want more money. I just got to do some more work, right? You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Amen to that. But it's frustrating. It does get to me sometimes. Not because here's the thing. At an individual level, if you're not a dreamer and you're not a learner, this was a polarizing thing I said, you don't deserve a better life. But we all deserve a better world. We all deserve a better world because we don't control the world. So we shouldn't be responsible for creating the world, but we would all benefit from a better world. So I don't have a problem saying we should all have a better world. But we can't make a better world without making better people. And we can't make better people when people are dependent and hopeless and hostile and helpless and learnedly helpless and unwilling to implement and do the work. This is why when I started ENTRE, of all the pieces of ENTRE, the thing I put the most mental energy into was creating what I call the implementation boot camp. The thing that says, hey, great, you just bought a course from me. Now, I'm not going to let you go through the course. I mean, I guess they can access it if they want, but I say, don't go through the course. Go through the boot camp. Because we're going to talk 12 more lessons about being an implementation badass, being a massive action-taking, results-getting, execution-oriented machine of living before you ever go through a course. You know why? Because it is pathetically epidemic. People think the pandemic in this world is COVID. The pandemic in this world is people getting access to information and doing nothing with it. That's the tragedy. Yeah, Wanda, amen. Do the work and be consistent. Apparently, there are a lot of quitters. Look, there are a lot of quitters, and it makes me sad. But then I realize that's just because I want it more for them than they do for themselves. But so anyway, here's why this is on my mind. I was talking to one of our coaches earlier, and he was like, Jeff, he's like, man, he's like, we lost some people, we got some new people, but he's like, every week, there's some people that show up week after week after week. In fact, I'm going to interrupt myself. Somebody said, what the fuck is wrong with your face? I'm going to address the question. I'm going to address it from a place of kindness, not because I think you're kind, but because I think there's an instructive answer. So I have a genetic condition called Waardenburg syndrome. So I was born with essentially a craniofacial deformity, you could say. And I've learned to love it. It's just me, but technically it's considered a deformity. So that's what the fuck is wrong with my face. Thanks for asking. Aren't you proud of yourself? But the reality is it's become one of my greatest gifts. I realized I just completely took a left turn, or I guess that was a right turn, left turn, depending on what your vantage point is. It's one of the best things that ever happened to me, because here's the thing. I see people that are beautiful. I see people that are way too good looking for their own good. And the problem with that is it becomes a part of their identity. They become very invested in that part of their life. And I realized at an early age, and thank you, I'm not like, the reality is I have a very, very mild affectation of it. So a lot of people don't even know, and whatever, it is what it is. I'm just addressing the question. But I realized very early that my strength in life was never going to be my charm, my dashing good looks, right? And that was a win, because I had to invest in things that I can control, because we talk about dependency breeding hostility and ultimately leading to depression. If you're dependent on your looks, if your looks are a source of identity, a source of confidence, now don't backpedal. Don't backpedal. LOL, I was just joking. Nothing is wrong. Don't backpedal. You own it, man. You said it. You might regret it. Ooh, that reminds me of a rap I wrote. You said it. You might regret it. I know the truth can hurt, but only if you let it. But hey, don't sweat it, because I read it somewhere that if you're looking for your match, you've already met it. Own it. Stick with it, man. Don't backpedal. Just learn and do better moving forward. But anyways, if your looks are an asset that drive your success moving forward, you have invested, you have become dependent on something that you don't control, and that actually by definition is going to deteriorate over time. That's not strength. That's weakness. That's dependency, right? Now, my mind, I'm in control of that. My thoughts, I'm in control of that. My knowledge, I'm in control of that. My language, I'm in control of that. In other words, I'm going to invest entirely in things that I do control as the basis for building my life. Thus, when I do achieve my life, whatever it may look like, I will be able to take full responsibility for creating it, because it wasn't based on something that I didn't put in place in the. And secondly, here's the thing about the mind, about thoughts, about language, about ideas, about money. These are all things that actually get easier to grow over time. Long-term assets, like you just said. Truth, H. Is it, by the way, tell me if I'm saying it wrong. H? I think it's H. Cool name. Wouldn't you rather be building your life around things that actually get easier over time and that you have total control of? If I was living my life, if I was coasting on my good looks, I would live in fear of getting older. I'd be terrified. I'd be like, I am fighting an uphill battle that is only getting steeper for the rest of my life. I'd rather live a life that's a manifestation of things that I worked hard to create, but that I can reap more and more rewards from over time. H, awesome. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, this whole inaction thing, it's really frustrating. And so I went to the source today. And when I say the source, it's not the source, but it's a source. One of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich, right? Anyway, the last chapter, which is probably the least read chapter of Think and Grow Rich, because it's a long book and it's dense, and I suspect a lot of people. You ask people, "Hey, what's the first law of success in Think and Grow Rich?" People go, "Burning desire," and you say, "What's the second one?" They go, "Faith," and you go, "What's the last one?" They're like, "I didn't read that far," right? But anyway, the last chapter is called "How to Outwit the 6 Ghosts of Fear." And the reality is, inaction is always a function of fear. That's why people don't do the thing. It's the fear, it's the doubts, it's the insecurities, it's the inadequacies. Yes, I can see your comments. I just can't see your name. It just says Facebook user, but I do see your comments. Feel free to keep posting. Thank you. Yeah, somebody said, ask him what his bank account looks like. He knows. Here's the thing. Some people's life is its own punishment. There's nothing you really have to say or do. I just try to take things that I see and use them, as first of all, growth opportunities for myself, and perhaps instructive lessons for all of us moving forward. Anyway, so, hey, Brian, sorry, man. I don't know why Facebook doesn't tell me your name. It must be a setting. Anyway, appreciate you being here, man. But so this is what I was thinking today as I was reading this. It says the 6 basic fears are, I'll hold this up. It says the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, fear of old age, and the fear of death. And Wanda just asked, what can we do to help you? I'm curious. Please elaborate. You mean, what can you do to help me get more people to implement? Oh my word, I wish I knew. Tell me what you mean by that. And I appreciate the offer. But so here's what I was thinking about these fears. It's like right now, people are fear. So these fears are kind of existing clusters, and this is still an emerging idea. So I'm going to go with it. Honestly, so Wanda said, yes, that's what she meant. This is what I've learned. This is what I've accepted. All frustration and ranting aside, the single best stand that I can be for other people to take action is, I talk all the time about wanting to be the valedictorian of the Entre student body. I just need to be the best student. I want to embody implementation. I want to embody execution. I want to embody excellence. I want to embody, Entre's core values. And to the extent that I do is the extent that I've done the entirety of what I can do to inspire it in others. By the way, that reminds me, Entre, we just reworked our values. I'm so excited to share them with you guys, but I'm not going to yet. I'm going to bite my tongue. Honestly, yeah, with inactive people, the best thing you can do is go crush it, get massive results for yourself, shoot a testimonial, send it to us. We will blast it all over social media, and we'll say, look at what Wanda did. Look at what Jeff did. Look at what Christian did. Look at what Brian did. Look at what H did. Look at what Joel did. Look what all these wonderful people did. So now that you've set aside your excuses, and this is why I started Millionaire Secrets. I said, now once people see enough other people taking massive action and getting massive results, they are essentially forced, just by the preponderance of evidence, to set aside their excuses. And now they're left with the one thing that was the actual real reason why, which is themselves. And they start having to ask tough questions, right? That's why I started Millionaire Secrets. Say, that I can only say it so many times, so many ways. Let's bring on dozens and dozens and eventually hundreds and hundreds of other people that have also done these amazing things in their life and created their awesome life. And eventually people be overwhelmed and go, that guy grew up homeless. That guy was abused by his parents. That guy was a broke musician living in his ex-wife's parents' house. That other guy was this, that other guy was that, and they all did it. So clearly I can do it too. And I must be the problem, but that's good because it means I'm also the solution, right? Ray, I love that quote. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. I have heard that. Where is that from? That is so good. While you're hopefully telling me, I'm going to analyze these 6 basic fears. So like, it's a tough time right now. Great Depression, Great Recession, .com bubble, whatever. These are, COVID 2020 for a lot of people. These are poverty times, right? So what are we worried about? We're worried about not having money because it's poverty time. But 2 years ago, what were we worried about? It was a boom time. The economy was scaling. We were doing great, right? Look at this. Ask yourself this. In tough economic times, we worry about poverty. In boom times, we worry about criticism, right? So it's like we're worried about poverty because money is tight or we feel like the economy is threatened or whatever. But then you go to the boom time and you say, well, why weren't you crushing it then, man? The economy was good. The stock market was rising. Employment was high. Why didn't you start your business then? Why didn't you take your shot then? Why didn't you make your millions when times were good? You weren't worried about poverty. Times were good. Well, I was worried about, I was scared. I was insecure. I was worried about criticism, right? When the poverty fear gets solved, we default to criticism, right? So my point is, it's actually interesting how when one fear gets resolved, a lot of us will just move to another fear, right? Use good times and bad times. In bad times, we're scared of being poor, but in good times, we're scared of looking dumb to all the rich, successful people. That's why it's not the content. That's what my therapist always says. He's like, you're getting lost in the content. You're trying to figure out what it is that you're afraid of. The problem isn't what you're afraid of. That's just the current focal point of your fear. The fear, Marianne Williamson said that. That's right. Thank you. The fear itself is something deeper than the reasons or the causes that you think are creating the fear. There is something. I actually think Marianne Williamson might be right. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that I think she is right. Here's why. 2 years ago, when I started this little thing, and I was just me going live, talking to like 3 or 4 people ever. I mean, right now I might have like 25, 30 people on at a time. I mean, Facebook, Instagram's a little less. It might be 10, 15, 20. But eventually most of this stuff gets viewed by hundreds or thousands of people, right? And it's part of building a business that, we had 140,000 free book downloads last month. Like we're getting out there, right? In a way, it was easier when it was smaller because there's something easy about being the little fighter, right? The little upstart guy, the guy that's got the deck stacked against him because there were just less people watching. If I'm being honest, the bigger this whole thing gets, I'm tempted to get scared. Like I can see it happening. It's not like I've arrived. There's no such thing as arriving, by the way. But I've come a ways in 2 years. There's a whole lot more people who know who Jeff Lerner is now than knew who I was then. I mean, I get recognized, I would say a few times a week now. I get recognized or I see somebody looking at me like, where do I know that guy from? Especially it started to happen around here because word's kind of gotten out. I don't live in a huge town. There's about 200,000 people in my county. There's like some, this guy's doing this internet-based thing. And I have people messaging me and they're hitting up their friend who, that guy, can I talk to him? I want to get him to help me with my business. Like it's catching on, right? The world's kind of starting to get a clue about what Jeff Lerner's up to. If I don't maintain rigorous discipline and frankly, keep myself so busy and grounded to the mission and the purpose and the vision and the values of what I'm doing, I can feel it. It's always right there. Like a bubble inside me that wants to pop, which is to get scared. Because the bigger and better this whole thing I'm doing gets from an impact perspective, think, oh, Jeff's reached a point where he's transcended the fear because he got started, right? No, I actually look at it as more like racing a car, right? Like you might be scared. Let's say the first time you got in a car, you're like, I'm scared. I don't even want to turn it on. This is making me nervous. I don't know what I'm doing, right? But eventually you turn it on and you sit there and you idle and you kind of touch the gas a little bit and you're like, okay, this isn't so bad. Now I'm going 10 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, right? So you go from scared to start to confident because you started and because it's manageable. But what happens if somebody says, okay, now push the gas a little more, push the gas a little more, push the gas a little more. Brian, you did fix it. I can see your name now. Glad you're here. Now push the gas a little more. Suddenly you're going 80 miles an hour. Suddenly you're going 100 miles an hour. So you're going 150 miles an hour and you're like, oh my God, this is terrifying. I thought I was scared when I got started. Man, I should have stayed at 20 miles an hour. The reality now for me is I feel like I'm up to about 100. I'm not going 400 miles or whatever the top speed is, 220 or something. I'm not at 220 yet, but I'm probably at 100. And it's a lot scarier than it was when I was going, when I was driving in the school zone, right? Even though it was scary when I revved the car, I got real comfortable and safe going 10, 20, 30 miles an hour. Now that I'm up to 100, it's very tempting to get scared again. And so every day, that's actually why I drew this line in the sand and said, I'm going to do these lives every day. Because I felt myself starting to resist, starting to make excuses, starting to want to back down. And when you want to back down, that's when you got to double down. When you want to back down, that's when you got to double down. That if I say nothing else, let's let that be said. When you want to back down, that's when you got to double down. No, I don't have my car yet. There's a long story there. Anyway, sorry. The point, I'm looking at these fears and I'm kind of evolving this theory. I think that what we do is we substitute. When somebody cures one of our fears, we just grab another one and swap it out. Eventually, we have to realize the problem is fear itself. You know what? Alice O. Green 237 has sent so many requests to be in my live video that Alice, hang tight. I'm going to see if I can pull you out. Austin, I do not remember you. I would love to remember you. I mean, sure, I would if I looked at your profile or whatever, but I just see your name. Tell me how I would remember you. And actually, you know what? Alice, I backtrack. I'm not going to bring you out on the live because I'm simul streaming to YouTube, 2 different Facebook portals, and Instagram. And if I bring you out on the live, no one else, the 3 of the 4 platforms, they won't be able to hear you. But feel free to DM me and tell me what you wanted to talk about, and maybe we can schedule a time or something. Anyway, so yeah, implementation, right? That's the thing. How long have I been talking here, guys? I think I might just need to be done. Oh, yes, Austin, thank you. I do remember that. You said you're smarter than your dad because of me. And I said, no, if you're smarter than your dad, it's because of you. That was good. That was a good one, man. Thank you. Anyway, I think I'm gonna take my own lesson here. When you want to back down, you have to actually, you know what? I'm not going to end right there. I'm going to tell you a quick story to illustrate the point, and then I'm going to be done. This whole thing that I've done, hundreds and hundreds of videos, going live over and over, trying to change the world because, I don't know, damn it, I'm just silly enough to think I can. It all started because my buddy, I told him, I was like, I want to change the world, man. I want to go out there and try to solve humanity's problem one human at a time, which is I believe that if I can create an individual sense of empowerment and get everybody to start taking very strategic and specific and aggressive actions in pursuit of their awesome life, we can actually make the world a better place. We can reverse a lot of negative trends in the world. It was just this like idea. I didn't have a product. I didn't have a business. ENTRE didn't exist. The 3 Ps didn't exist. Successfully Unemployed didn't exist. All the taglines, all the values, all the mission, all the mantras, all the everything that's emerged has been a byproduct of me just swimming around trying to find this groove of what I wanted to do. But the reason it started, the reason I turned the car on in the first place is because my buddy said, okay, well, you want to get some attention? You want to get some awareness on this cause, this vision you have? You need to start talking to the world. And I was like, well, yeah, but I'll bet if I start talking to the world, people are going to make comments like, what the fuck is wrong with your face? Because I've been teased before and I used to be fat and I'm really have major insecurities, right? Okay, yeah, I made a few bucks online, but how does that, still nobody knows who I am. What, I'm going to go out and compete with Tony Robbins, tell people who they can become in order to help change the world? Nobody's going to want to listen to me, right? And he said, well, A, you're wrong, but you're only right if you don't do it. If you do it, you'll be wrong, but if you don't, you'll be right. So like you say, if you think you can, you think you can't, you're right. Here's what I want you to do. He said, I want you to write down a list of different things that have happened to you that you could talk about, where I could be like, hey, that's cool, tell me more. And you could like expand on it, right? So it was like dumb little things, right? It was like this guy I met, in the hotel, told me a funny story, and they'd be like, oh, tell me more about that. And I could retell the story, right? I just made this long list of like random crap I could talk about. And he goes, that's a good start. Okay, now I want you to go outside. I was hanging out with him in his apartment. He's like, I want you to go outside and don't come back until you've shot 10 videos on the first 10 things on your list. And the thing is, nobody could even see the videos. It was just me like this with my phone, right? Nobody could even see them. And I was still scared, but I was still like fumbling my words and my teeth were still chattering and I was still nervous. I was scared to take action and nobody was even there to see it. But I knew if I recorded the video, I was going to have to go back and watch it. And I was going to think that I looked like an idiot and I sounded like an idiot. And he was going to insist on seeing it. And he was either going to call me out for not doing a good job, or he was going to congratulate me for doing a good job. But that was only going to make it worse, because if it actually did turn out okay, then I was going to feel pressure to do it again. And I would actually have to be taking action, and it would actually have to grow into something, right? But I did it. And he did not let me not do it. He said, Jeff, stop talking, stop thinking, go outside. And it was pretty hot. I was staying with him down in the Cayman Islands for like a week. I was just hanging out, and we were doing some consulting and other business stuff. But he was like, go outside and you cannot come back in until you shoot these videos. And it was like 90 degrees and humid. It was hot. So I'm outside. I'm like, dude, I really want to go back in there. It's really hot. But he literally wouldn't open the door until I shot the 10 videos. And so he made me get started. I went from idea to implementation in like 5 minutes. The reality is, that's why I said, when you want to back down, you need to double down. If I had waited 50 minutes, or certainly if I'd waited 5 days, or been like, you know what, I'm totally going to do that when I get home, probably never would have done it. Entre wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be together right now. I'd be doing whatever I'm doing, but I wouldn't be having the impact that I am. None of this would be here, except for the fact that because of my buddy pushing me, I went from idea to implementation in 5 minutes. That's what I want to leave you with. When you want to back down, you got to double down. And I don't think you even have 5 minutes. Mel Robbins teaches us that you have 5 seconds. Watch the TED Talk on the 5-second rule. It's a real thing. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.